The HyperDeck Shuttle HD is the cheapest and smallest HyperDeck that Blackmagic make, but I think it's also one of the most powerful. In today's video, I'm counting down its top 5 features, including some later on in the video that Blackmagic have been keeping a secret from all of us. So let's get straight into the features, and in at number 5 is recording. The HyperDeck Shuttle HD is a fantastic master recording device. It's got an HDMI port on the back, along with an SD card slot and a USB-C port as well. So that means you can bring in your HDMI audio and video signals, and it supports up to 1080p 60 frames per second, and then record those straight onto an SD card or a UHS 2 card, an SSD, like an external hard drive, and there's even another secret media source, which I'm going to talk a little bit about later on in this video. And you can record at multiple codecs as well. So you can record in ProRes, DNX, and if you need smaller file sizes, H.264 as well. The Shuttle HD can be used to record pretty much any input source, whether it be direct feeds from cameras or computer inputs, Xboxes, or any other source. But where I really love using my one is alongside my ATEM Mini Extreme ISO. I actually use it very often as a backup recorder. So I feed one of the HDMI outputs from my ATEM into my Shuttle HD, and then I've got that peace of mind that whatever I'm sending out of that HDMI output is also being recorded on the Shuttle HD to the hard drive that I have plugged into it. And you can see I've got them next to each other here on the desk, and they just look great together. They've quite obviously been designed to be placed on a desk next to each other and to work together. And you've got these great buttons here, so if you want to start and stop recording, you can physically do that on the device itself. But also, this does show up in the ATEM software control as well, so you can start and stop recording of the Shuttle HD in there. And of course, it's fully compatible with things like BitFocus Companion as well. So if you have been looking for a small, compact recording device to sit alongside your ATEM, the HyperDeck Shuttle HD is the one to go for. And don't forget, I'm going to be talking about that secret media source in just a second, along with all of the other features as well. But before we do that, let me tell you about today's sponsor, Uno. Uno is the free broadcast quality graphics platform designed for live streamers. It gives you instant access to hundreds of easily customizable graphics templates, from lower thirds to sports scoreboards, news tickers, and so much more. Imagine you're live streaming a soccer match, for example, and you want to display the score on screen. With Uno, it's possible within minutes. Just head over to overlays.uno and sign up for a free account, and you'll have access to a wide range of pre-made templates that you can easily filter through until you find the perfect style for your stream. Customizing and controlling your overlay is simple. You can do it right from your web browser on any device, whether it be a computer, phone, or tablet. Adjust team names, customize the color scheme to match your brand colors, and even add team logos by pasting a link to their hosted images. Once you're happy with your graphic, getting it into your broadcast is just as easy. Click the copy output URL button and add it as a browser source to your preferred streaming software. Whether you use OBS, Streamlabs, or vMix, for example, Uno seamlessly integrates with your setup. But it doesn't stop there. From anywhere in the world, you can update and control your graphics live, animate your overlays on and off, update scores as they fly in, all from one web page. And if you prefer physical buttons, they've got you covered too, as Uno now offers a free Stream Deck plugin that allows you to control your graphics directly from your Stream Deck device. This is just a small glimpse of the countless number of overlays available on Uno, so if you want to up the quality of your live broadcast graphics, head over to the link in my description or sign up at overlays.uno. Best of all, it's completely free to use right now, and within minutes, you can have high quality animated graphics added to your streams. Plus, the team at Uno are always looking for your suggestions and ideas of new templates to be added. So if you think you've got something that you want to see on the platform, send them a message using the feedback form on their website. On to feature number 4, Clip Player. The HyperDeck Shuttle HD also features an HDMI output on the back, allowing you to play back clips, whether those be the ones that you've recorded onto the HyperDeck or videos that you've loaded onto the SD card or the SSD as an example. You can play them out of the HDMI output and display them on monitors or screens, or my favorite use case is actually feeding it back into an ATEM Mini. The HyperDeck Shuttle and the ATEM Mini paired together in playback mode is the perfect way to bring videos into your ATEM Mini for your live streams. So let's actually play back a clip on the HyperDeck Shuttle to show you how easy it is to do. It's in recording mode at the moment, which is why you're seeing me. But if I hit the play button here, it will automatically go into the drive and start playing the last recorded clip on there, which is this. So I'm just going to hit stop for a second because I want to show you some of the menus as well. So if we click the source button here, we can actually then see a little menu comes up in the bottom left hand side where we can start scrolling around and navigating through all the clips. So I can use the back and forth buttons here to navigate through them, and that will take me to the start of each of the recorded clips. So we can see HyperDeck 1 was the first clip that I recorded today, and then 2, and then 3, and things like that. And if we wanted to play any of these, we just hit the play button here, and you can see it plays back perfectly fine. But we can also jog through the actual clips themselves. So I can use the scroll wheel here to actually scroll through them. Or if I want to go slightly slower, I can jog through it and use the control wheel here to just jog through each one. So you've got full control. And as I say, you can bring up the menu so you can see a bit more of what clip you're actually playing back. But you've got full control of navigating through all of the clips on the HyperDeck. And then when you find the one you want, you just hit the play button here. And if I switch the view here, we can actually see the multi-view. You can see it's playing there. It's labeled as camera 7. That is our playback. That's our HyperDeck Shuttle playing back as input number 7 on the ATEM Mini. Now, you don't have to just play back clips that you've recorded onto the HyperDeck. You might, for example, render out a video from DaVinci or Final Cut or Premiere Pro and want to play a countdown sequence or a video that you've edited earlier. That works perfectly fine with the HyperDeck Shuttle HD. My recommendation is you export that as a ProRes file, but you just load it onto the SD card or load it onto your SSD, and the HyperDeck Shuttle will be able to see it and play that file back too. Feature number 3, Teleprompter. The HyperDeck Shuttle HD is the only model in the whole range of all Blackmagic's HyperDecks that has a teleprompter feature built in. And it's really, really useful. I really like the implementation that they've done on the HyperDeck Shuttle for a teleprompter. So what it's able to do is you can use rich text files to actually load those onto the HyperDeck Shuttle and then display that text in a teleprompt format. So I'm going to show that to you. I've uploaded a rich text file onto the SSD and plugged that into the HyperDeck Shuttle. And the first thing you need to do is put the shuttle in teleprompter mode. It's a completely separate mode to the playback and the recording mode on the shuttle. So what you do is you go to the menu button here, and then if we scroll down to where it says codec, feels weird that it should be in here, but it is. Scroll all the way down to the bottom of the codecs, and then you'll see this teleprompter mode. If you hit and select that, the HyperDeck Shuttle will restart, and then it will go and find any RTF, rich text files, that you've got on your SSD or SD card. So now we have our teleprompt text. And there's a few ways that you can control this. You can see if we have multiple files there, I could navigate through them using these back and forward buttons, but I've only got one on there. If we wanted to just jog through the file for a second, I can hit the jog button, and that will allow me to slowly kind of use this wheel here, the search dial, to actually go through the file itself. And I actually do use this when I'm using the teleprompter. This is how I tend to control it. So I can actually adjust the speed as I'm going. So I'm manually transporting my way through the file. If I need to move through faster, I can switch to source here, or scroll, sorry, which allows me to just go faster through the file itself. It's quite nice for finding things like these marker points that I specifically put in red, like headings. I can just jump from heading to heading here. And then one really nice sort of hidden feature here is if you hold both buttons down together, you can then shuttle through it. So what that will allow you to do is if you just move it slightly, it will then stay at a constant speed. And if you move it a bit more, it will go faster. Or if you move it back, it will slow down. So then you can find a speed that's natural to you, and you can just keep reading off of it. So that's the teleprompter, but there's actually a load of settings for it as well. So if we just jog back up here to the beginning, and then we go into the menu here, and if we scroll along to the actual teleprompter menu, there we go, the monitor menu, we can see we can adjust things like the font size here. So if I want to make the font a lot bigger, I can just use the search wheel here to dial that up. So we're into the 400s now to whatever we're comfortable with. Same here with things like the line spacing. Maybe we want to increase the line spacing to 120 or so. And you've also got things like the side margin. So I like my side margins nice and narrow. I wish they would allow you to get this even more narrow than 20%. But if you wanted to fill a screen, you could dial that right down here so it fills a whole screen. But I like having my eye line as minimal as possible. So I'm just looking into the lens. Now, I'm not showing using this with an actual teleprompter right now because I smashed my teleprompter, which was sad. So I'm just using it with a monitor. But if you had a teleprompter monitor, this will work with any monitor. But if you actually had the beam splitter glass, this would work great. And the reason for that is because you've also got, this is one of the only devices that I know has this built in. You've also got the ability to flip both horizontally and vertically on the device. So that means that you can use it with beam splitter glass. So if we just turn that on, you'll see what that looks like there. That's with the horizontal flip, and there's the vertical flip as well. So it does mean that you don't have to use this with a dedicated teleprompter monitor that has the flipping built in. You could technically use this with any monitor because the shuttle can do the flipping for you. And that's a real key feature of the teleprompter function here. On to my two favorite things about the HyperDeck Shuttle HD, and they're much less known than the other ones I've just featured. It's almost as if Blackmagic has been trying to keep them secret. In at number 2, networked recording and playback. Okay, so you probably already know that all HyperDecks already support uploading and downloading files to them over the network via FTP. But did you know that the HyperDeck Shuttle HD is one of the only HyperDecks that can actually access shared network storage to record and play back files? This is obviously designed to work with Blackmagic's cloud store devices, but it can actually work with any shared network storage device. And this alone, I personally feel, makes the HyperDeck Shuttle HD one of the most powerful HyperDecks available. Let me show you how it works. Firstly, do make sure that your HyperDeck Shuttle HD is updated to the latest firmware. And then we're going to just open up the menu here and we're going to scroll along to the storage page. Now, you can see I've got Media 1 and Media 2 blanked out because I've got no physical storage attached to the HyperDeck right now. There's no SD card in it. There's no SSD attached to the USB-C. There's no way of recording onto any physical device. But you can see if we keep going to this menu and we scroll down to where it says Add Network Device and enter into that, the HyperDeck is now searching the local network to see if there is any shared storage devices that have the guest account enabled. And so that's why the Blackmagic Cloud Store appears, because that's how that device runs. It runs off of the guest account. But also I've created a guest account on my actual QNAP NAS, and this works as well. I can record directly onto my QNAP NAS and play files directly off of my QNAP NAS over the network. And in a second, I'll show you as well how you can even do this with a Mac PC, for example. You can create a shared folder on your Mac and have the HyperDeck record directly to that over the network as well. But let's set this up with the cloud store for now. So I'm going to enter into that, connect to it, and then if I go again into it, we'll actually see all of the folder structure on my cloud store. And I've created a folder, if I scroll down here, called HyperDeck. There it is. And if I just click and hold the set button here for a few seconds, we can now see that under Media 2, I've got net for network and that folder, the HyperDeck folder. So now I'm in that HyperDeck folder on my HyperDeck Shuttle HD, and I can record directly to it. So all I actually need to do, if we get rid of the menu, is I can just hit record here. And the light appears as normal. Everything is the same, but there is no SD card or no hard drive plugged into this. It's actually just recording over the network to my cloud store device. And we can check that right now. So if we go over to my Mac here, you can see I've got my cloud store here. And if we go into there, we've got the same HyperDeck folder. And we can see that recording is already populated, and it will be growing and growing as well. And we'll talk about that in just a second. So if I hit stop now, and then I want to open this file, we have that recording here. And I can skip through it. It's on my cloud storage. It would, if I was recording to my NAS, it would be on my NAS. It's not being stored on the device, on the HyperDeck. It's actually on there, ready to go, could be uploading to Dropbox or whatever. And this works in the reverse as well. So if we go back over to the HyperDeck, now that there is a file on there, we can actually play that back as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to switch over to the multi-view for a second so we can see this. And then I'm going to put the HyperDeck into playback mode by clicking the play button. And you can see there, we have the playback of that exact file. And it's playing back again over the network from my Cloud Store Mini. And this does work exactly the same for the teleprompter text files as well. We can access those over the network as well. So I've just put my HyperDeck Shuttle HD into teleprompter mode. And if we just look at my Mac first, you can see we've got this script text here. And if we switch to the HyperDeck, there we go. We can play it, we can scroll through it exactly as we did before, but there's an added benefit here. So if I just go back to my Mac, because it's on the network, we can very quickly update this text and it will automatically push to the HyperDeck. So I'm just going to open text edit here is the quickest way of doing it. And we'll actually just add a sentence in here saying, hey, look how cool this is. Exclamation mark. And I hit save. And now if I go back to my file, it's already updated. First sentence, hey, look how cool it is. And the rest is still there down below. So this, again, is a really quick way. Rather than loading rich text files onto SD cards or SSDs, you can access and update them quickly over the network. I do just want to quickly show that this works with creating a shared folder on a Mac too, and recording from the HyperDeck Shuttle over the network to a folder on your Mac. So to do that, on my Mac here, I'm just going to create a folder on the desktop, but you can create it anywhere you like. And we're going to call that remote recording. Just a regular folder. And then we have to do two things in the system settings. So if we open up system settings here, first thing I'm going to do is search for users. And we're going to go into the users and groups and click the I button next to the guest user account. And we want to enable this allow guests to connect to shared folders. It will ask for the password, so just put your password in and then click done. That's the first half. Then we actually need to select the folder that we want to share. So I'm going to type in sharing here and go to the sharing menu. And we're going to want to set up and turn on file sharing. So click the I button next to that. And we want to add in our remote recording folder. So it's on the desktop. Select it there. Hit add. And importantly, don't forget this step. We want to change everyone to be read and write. That everyone account is our guest account that the HyperDeck needs to see it. So click done. Then we can turn on file sharing. And now in theory, our HyperDeck Shuttle should be able to see that new folder and record over the network to it. So let's go over to the HyperDeck, click on menu and scroll over to storage. Go down to add another network drive. And now we should see, there we go, our Alex Mac Studio is appearing on there as well. Go into that and we've got our remote recording folder there. So if I hold down set, it adds it to the list. If I press set again, we can now see it says net and remote recording. And if I just come out of the menu and hit record, we can now see the HyperDeck again is recording. And if we go over to our Mac and go into our remote recording folder, there is our video being recorded in real time directly onto our Mac over the network. Having the ability to record to and play back files from a networked storage device just opens up so many doors and workflow opportunities for your live broadcast. One of which I want to talk about now, my #1 hidden feature on the HyperDeck Shuttle HD, growing files. Growing files are files that you can access and work with while they're still being recorded. That's why they're called growing files, because as the recording gets longer and longer, the file gets bigger and bigger. And the HyperDeck Shuttle HD actually supports recording in growing file formats. So that means you can start work on the edit even though you're still recording. That's what I want to show you now. So I've got my HyperDeck here. I've got it connected to and is recording to my cloud store. So it's recording over the network. And then we're going to access that and work with it even while it's still recording. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the record button on the HyperDeck. And then I'm going to do something visual like a wave so that when we play back the file, you can see that happen. So let's hit record. And then I'm just going to go over to my Mac here. And let's do that wave so we can see something visual happening here. And you can see straight away this new file has popped up within the Cloud Store folder and we can open it. Even though the HyperDeck is still recording, we can open and access that file. So there's me clicking record, going over to the Mac, and here's that wave. And in fact, if we just note, if I just actually, it'll be easier if I just play it here. We can see that we've actually been recording for about 25 seconds. But if we give it a few seconds and then open it back up again, you will see that that file is longer. So let's see if it's longer now. There we go, 35 seconds. So it's continually growing, and we're accessing it even while it's growing and the recording is being added to. And we can do this in any editor as well. So if we open up DaVinci Resolve, we can drag this file and start working on it in DaVinci Resolve. Now, there is currently a bug with growing files in general in DaVinci Resolve, in that after some time, the audio doesn't show up and then you have to shut down DaVinci Resolve and open it back up again. But Blackmagic are aware of that, and hopefully there'll be a fix out for that soon. But I've also tried this in both Final Cut and Adobe Premiere, and it works perfectly. So let's just open up a quick project in DaVinci so you can see that there's no problem importing this file, even though we are still writing to it and recording it. We'll go into my Blackmagic Cloud Store, go into the HyperDeck folder, and there is that file there. Drag it into our media pool, and then we'll drag it into the timeline as well here. And we'll just hit play like we did before. And we will see, there we go, there's our wave. So our file is still recording. We haven't stopped the recording, but we could be making edit points here, maybe cutting out some of the boring bits and creating a highlights package or clipping parts out for social media. And we could have editors, multiple editors accessing this file, because you can have 2, 3, 4, 10 people accessing this file because it lives on, in this case, a cloud store, but a shared network storage. And you can see that what we're able to do is, as the file continues to grow, in DaVinci, it's usually every 60 seconds or so, we can actually drag out the new part of the file. So there we go, we've had an update, and now we can just drag it out, and we've got all of that new footage that's been added, and that will update and allow us to do that every 60 seconds or so. In Premiere and Final Cut, you can actually set, or definitely in Premiere, I don't know about Final Cut, you can actually set that refresh rate. So I hope you can see how powerful both recording over the network and growing files are. I'm actually going to do a whole video about how I use growing files and this type of workflow, because it opens up a whole door of opportunity. So if you want to see that video, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And if you found this video useful, please do just take 2 seconds to hit the thumbs up. It really does help. Also, if you have any questions about this video, get them down in the comments below. I read through all of them and will reply to as many as possible. And if you want specific help, maybe you're looking to set up this workflow, or you just need help with your setup, my email address is on screen now. You can ping me an email and we will set up a one-to-one consulting session to get all of your questions answered. And once you've done all that, I'll see you on the next video.